going to just mute my mic and my camera here too. So.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know if you ever can't see me or understand anything or stuff like that. Okay. So we're going to start today seated. We're going to focus more on some deeper stretches, holding a little bit longer in poses, kind of like almost like a yin style class. I tend to not teach as much yin because those are quite long holds, but we'll kind of balance somewhere in between like a vinyasa class and a yin class for the start. So just find yourself in a comfortable seated position on your mat, and we'll take a few breaths in and out, just focusing on arriving here into the space and try to make your breaths equal. So focus on equal inhales and equal exhales. Let's take one more. And then if your eyes were closed, you can start to blink them open. We'll just do a few shoulder rolls. So bringing the shoulders up as close as you can to your ears and then rolling them all the way back and down and forward again. Let's go a few times in one direction and then switch, go a few in the other. Next, we'll bring our fingertips up to our shoulders. We're going to make those same circles but with the elbows. Try to reach as high as you can with the elbows, reaching out through the armpits. And then round out the back when you come out in front. So almost bring the elbows to touch. All the way up. And same thing, do a few in one direction and then switch. Go a few in the other. Try to reach the elbows all the way back behind you as you rotate backwards. And then we'll take our fingertips, point them all the way forward and down. So you're like Spider-Man. Just reach forward with the hands, pointing the fingers down. This will feel like quite a bit in the forearms. And then you can take your right hand, bring it to your left fingers, and just help that wrist stretch out a little bit. You can start to rotate the hand, point the fingers up. Same thing, pull back on the fingers, stretch out the wrist. And then release, bring the arms down, shake it out a little bit. And we'll take the hands forward again, point the fingers down. Push here. And then take the left hand, bring it to the right fingertips, pull down on the hand, stretch out the wrist. And then we'll rotate the hand, point the fingers up, grab on and pull gently. And then release, bring the arms down, shake it out a little. From here, we're just gonna bring the hands back down to your knees or somewhere on your body, and then we're gonna make big neck circles. So make them as slow as you can. If there's anywhere that feels particularly sticky, you can hold there for a little bit longer. And we'll do our 3 in one direction, and then start to rotate 3 in the other. Start to come back into center, into a neutral spine. And we'll do the same thing that we just did with the neck, but with the hips. So we'll go in big circles with the torso. 3 times in one direction and then 3 times in the other. You can match your breath to your movement and your circles if that feels good. And then we'll come back into center. Just take your legs out in front of you. Shake them a little bit. We're going to inhale the arms up overhead. And then round out the back, start to reach for your toes or your shins, whatever's available to you today. You can let the head be heavy. And slowly start to roll the spine back up. Tent the fingertips behind you, push up the chest, straight spine. And then release. Come back into our neutral seated position, so you can cross the legs again if you want to. We're gonna kind of roll over to the right butt cheek and bring the left foot all the way in front. So you're kind of kicking your left foot forward. You're rolled over onto the right butt cheek. You're just gonna move the foot all the way back behind you and then back out in front. We're gonna do this a few times. Kind of wakes up the hip. Let's go twice more. Okay, the next time it goes back behind you, just send that left leg straight, roll back into center, into neutral, and we're landed in our pigeon pose. So this front leg could be out at a 45, or you can bring it up closer to parallel, whatever feels good in your body. You can stay up here on your hands, or you can come down to your elbows, stack one fist on top of the other, and rest your forehead down for sleeping pigeon. And then just hold here. We'll be here for a few breaths. This will be a big stretch in that right glute. If you don't want to be in poses for long periods of time, like if sitting in stillness starts to get uncomfortable in your body, you can bring movement to any one of these poses. So you can bring your hands out wide on your mat and just sort of rock back and forth, which will bring different sensation into the glute and the hip. Or you can do a bit of both. You can be in your sleeping pigeon for the first few breaths and then transition into rocking if you start to get uncomfortable. Start to bring your focus back to your breath. Notice where your mind might have wandered off to. Couple more breaths here. If you want to bring this a little bit more into an active pose, you can leave your right hand down, reach back with the left hand and grab onto the left foot and pull that foot towards you for a quad stretch. So this can be the next iteration of your pigeon pose, or you can stay in your sleeping pigeon or rocking back and forth. Wherever you're at, we're going to start to come back into neutral. So you can come back up onto your hands, roll back over onto that right bum cheek. Kick the left foot forward again, and then we're just going to place the left leg down. The right foot's going to stay on the inside. Let's bring the left hand to the inside of the left leg. Inhale the right arm up and over. Stretching out through the right side body. Look up towards the right hand, down towards the left hand, whatever feels best in your neck. And then we'll loop this right hand down to the side or just behind you, come up onto that knee, stretch out through the other side. Left arm goes up and over. And you can start to sit the hips back down. We'll take the right leg out wide, just like the left. So this might be a really subtle pose for you. We're getting into the adductors here. This is a part of the body that we don't stretch all that much. So this might be as far as you lean forward, and that is great. We're gonna stay here again for a few breaths because it takes a while for that connective tissue and the nervous system to start to settle and kind of let the stretch happen. So just hold here, focus on your breath, send your breath to the places you feel tension. And notice how long it takes before it starts to soften up and loosen up. Two more breaths. And then you can start to push yourself back up into neutral. Pull the legs back in. Lean over onto the left butt cheek. Kick the right foot forward. We're going to move on to waking up the hip on the other side. So you're bringing that right foot forward and back. As fast or as slow as you feel like going. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Two more times. So we'll kick forward, and the next time you send that right foot back behind you, straighten out the right leg, roll over into center. We're in our pigeon. And you can come down onto the elbows. Stack the hands, bring the forehead down for sleeping pigeon, or go straight into that rocking if that's what you were doing on the other side. You can stay in your sleeping pigeon or rocking back and forth, or if you want to move into your quad stretch, come up onto your hands. Leave the left hand down, reach for the right foot. Pull that foot in towards you. On your next breath, you can start to bring that right foot back down. So we're up on our hands, roll back over to the left side, take that right foot forward, and then just place it down. And the left foot is on the inside of the right leg. Bring the right hand down to the inside of the right leg, and inhale the left arm up and over. You can start to loop that left hand down to your side, come up onto the left knee, and bring the right arm up overhead. Stretch out the other side. Release, start to bring the hips back to the floor. Cross the ankles. We're going to roll up over the ankles and head into our tabletop. And when we get into our tabletop, our hands are under our shoulders, knees under hips. We're going to move through a few cat-cows. So on your inhale, let the belly come down, look up. And on the exhale, roll the ribs under, puff the spine up to the ceiling. Let's go 2 more times like this, following your own breath and speed. So inhaling through, letting the chin come up in the gaze, and exhale, tuck the chin under, round out the back. Start to make your way back into a neutral spine, and we're just going to start to push the ribs out from side to side. You can look back behind you in the opposite direction. And then we're just going to tuck the toes under, push through the hands, start to stretch out the feet. And then rock forward onto the hands, pick up the feet, roll out the ankles a few times. And then we'll sit back onto the heels. We're going to roll out the wrists a couple times. And then bring the backs of the hands down to the mat. Lean back just enough that you feel a stretch in your forearms. Hold here for a couple breaths. Start to pick the hands back up, roll out the wrists one more time. And then just come up off the heels, so we're in a tall kneeling position. Bring your hands as if you were putting them in your back pockets. And then just focus on trying to bring the elbows to touch behind your back. So that'll create a nice gentle back bend. And you can let your eyes come up and your chin come up if that feels okay. But this is all the poses, just pushing the chest out forward a little bit. And release, come back to a neutral spine. This time we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, pull down with the hands so the chest opens up. And you can stay here, or you can fold forward and hinge at the hips. And essentially you're bringing your forehead down to the mat. You're letting gravity take the arms behind you and stretch out through the shoulders and the front of the chest and the collarbone. And release, start to hinge all the way back up, release the hands. This time we'll inhale them up overhead, grab onto the left wrist with the right hand, pull the hands over to the right. Start to come in through center, switch the grip, pull the hands over to the left. Come back into center with the hands, let the arms come down by your sides. We're going to take the right foot and just step it forward. So we're in a half kneeling position. From here, we want to get a stretch in this left hip, in the psoas. So you can do one of two things. You can either lean all the way forward, if this feels good in your body, if you feel like you get a big stretch here, or you can bring your hands to your knee, push through the hands, tuck the tailbone under, and create a cat spine like we just did. So you're rounding out the back, pushing it towards the back wall. And you might get a bigger stretch in the hip doing this than the other version, but whatever felt better for you, choose that one. We'll be here for a couple breaths. And you can start to release. And wherever you are, we're just gonna start rocking back and forth a few times. So rock all the way forward into that hip and all the way back to wake up the right hamstring a little bit. The next time you rock back, just come back into your tall kneeling position. Bring the right knee back down beside the left and take the left foot up in front of you. We're going to move on to the other side. So wherever you felt it in the other hip, it's probably where you're going to feel it in this hip too. So choose your pose for your hip stretch, either leaning all the way forward or pressing the hands into the left knee, tucking the tailbone under, and rounding out the back. Two more breaths. And release, and we'll start rocking back and forth. The next time you rock back, take that left knee beside the right. We're going to sit back onto the heels, and we're going to come into a little ball. So this is a twist that we're going to move into that focuses on the thoracic spine, so the upper spine. So a lot of the time when we're twisting, it ends up in the low back. And we want to try and get some movement and mobility in the upper spine. So this is called a lumbar lock, where we're essentially rounding out through the back. Our forearms are just in front of us here, so you can bring your hands into prayer if you want, if that helps. Your elbows are touching your knees, so you're just in a little ball. You're going to leave the right forearm down and just inhale the left arm up. So you might only get out to here. That's totally fine. I do this quite a bit. And on your exhale, come back into center. Inhale, come up. We're going to do this 3 more times on this side. But hopefully you're feeling this more in the upper spine than the lower back. Let's go 1 more time. And then bring that left arm down. Replace the right arm, and on your next breath in, bring the right arm up. Exhale as you come back into your little ball, and on your inhales, right arm goes up as high as you can. Or as high as your body wants to, I should say. 2 more times. Excellent. And then the next time your forearms are down, just reach the hands all the way forward. Bring the forehead down and come into a child's pose. You can bring your hands all the way down by your sides if you'd rather that, and then just rock the head a little bit back and forth. That'll help release any tension that you might have in your neck. From here, let's just start to walk the hands all the way over to the right side of your mat. So this is going to be a big stretch in the left lat, the left side of the body. You can bring your forehead back down if that feels good. And focus on sending your breath down into your belly and feel it expand between your knees. You can start to walk your hands through center all the way over to the left. Pull through the finger pads of the right hand to get a bigger stretch in that right side of the body. Start to bring the hands back into center. We're going to lift up back into our tabletop. And from here, we'll tuck the toes under, lift the hips all the way up, come into a downward facing dog. And just pedal up the feet and the calves. Roll the ankles around a little bit more. Move however you need to move to start to feel comfortable here. And then once you feel comfortable and you can come to stillness, take 2 big deep breaths. From here, let's start to tiptoe the feet all the way to the top of the mat, fold forward. Let the head be heavy. And on your next breath in, roll the spine all the way up to stand. Take a big exhale when you get to the top. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, look up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins, come up halfway. And exhale, fold forward. Take the right foot to the back of the mat. Bring the knee down, untuck the toes. Take the hands up overhead, so we're in a low lunge. And from here, bring the hands back down to center. We're just going to start to reach the right hand forward and the left hand back behind us. So we're coming into a twist. Make sure the twist is coming from your core. Again, we don't want things to be ending up in the lower back. So only twist as far as feels good. Your back knee is down. You can pick it up if you want to make this a little bit more intense. And add a balancing component to this twist. Let's take one more breath here. And then start to make your way back into center. Bring the hands down to frame that left foot. Take the left foot back beside the right. Pick up your knees, finger in plank. And then we'll bring the knees back down, lower all the way to the front of the body. Bring the hands just slightly out in front. And on your next inhale, roll the shoulders up, back, and down, come into cobra. And on your exhale, release back down to the mat. Inhale, come up. If you want to add a twist, you can bring the left shoulder down, look over the right. And release. Last time, inhale up into your cobra. You're either staying straight or you can bring the right shoulder down, look over the left. And release. Bring one cheek to the mat and make a pillow with your hands. Take a breath. We're going to take our left hand all the way out to the side. Tent the right fingertips beside you. We're going to roll over and stretch out the left shoulder and the left pec. So just roll over onto that side. You can bend the right knee if you want to and use that foot kind of as a kickstand. Just rolling over as much as feels good. Bring the forehead down, or the side of the head, I should say. And just take a couple more breaths here. Let's start to roll slowly and gently through center. Bring the left fingertips in. Take the right hand out, and we're going to roll over onto the right side. Same thing, you can bend that left knee and use that foot as a kickstand. Bring the head down. And try to focus on your breath. Take 2 more breaths here. And then we'll start to slowly make our way back into center. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Lift back up through your tabletop into your downward dog. Pedal up the feet and the calves here one more time. And then tiptoe to the top of the mat, fold forward. This time we're going to grab onto opposite elbows and just start to sway a little bit back and forth. Still keeping the head heavy, no tension in the neck. And you can release the hands back down on your next exhale and inhale the spine up to standing. Big breath out at the top. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, look up. And exhale, dive forward and fold. Come up halfway on your next breath in. And then take the hands down on the exhale. Left foot goes all the way back behind you. Bring the knee down, untuck the toes. Lift up into a low lunge. And then we're going to move into our twist. So start to reach the left hand forward and the right hand back, twisting towards the right, twisting from the core. And breathe. One more breath. Start to make your way back into center. Bring the hands down to frame the front foot. Pick up the back knee. Take the right foot beside the left. We're in plank. And you can bring the knees down, lower all the way to the front of the body again. This time we're going to do a few of our snow angels, our front-facing snow angels, or some people call them prone swimmers. So you're reaching your hands out in front. This is really great for shoulder health. So you can bring your forehead down if you want to. You just want to make sure that the back of your neck is long. Bring the hands up as high as you can, and then loop them all the way back to your lower back. So you're feeling like you're swimming or you're making a snow angel on your stomach. 2 more times. And then bring the forehead back down. Bring the other cheek to your mat. Take a breath. And start to bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes under, and we're going to lift up through our tabletop into our downward dog. Pedal up the feet. And then find your stillness, take your 2 breaths. We're going to walk the feet to the top of the mat. You can bring the feet out wide. We're going to make our way to seated. So however you want to get there. If you want to come through yogi squat, your feet are wide, your toes are pointing out to 45, and you're just sitting down as far as you can. You might want to reach your hands forward for some balance. You can bring your hands into heart center and push the knees out. Or you can reach the hands all the way forward and bring them to the ground if you want more of a lower back release. Or if none of these feel good on your hips, you can just come all the way to seated right away. Once you are down in your seat, we're going to make our way to our backs. So you can go fast or slow if you want a little bit of core awakening. You can make it slow to get down there. If you're just in this for a big stretch, just make your way down to lying on your back. Bring the feet out wide, let the knees come in to touch. Bring your hands to your belly and just send your breath there. Try to move your hands. start to bring the knees back up, and we're just gonna windshield wiper the legs a few times from side to side. So you're taking both your knees over to the left and then both over to the right, but your feet are still out wide. Start to come back into center. Then we're gonna bring the feet in so that we can touch our heels with our fingertips. We're gonna do a couple of bridges just to make sure we're getting a few more back bends in, especially if we're on our computer all day. We want to be able to open up the chest and roll the shoulders back onto the body. So you can come into a regular bridge when we do this in a minute, or if you want a restorative bridge, you can grab a bolster, some books, some blocks, and just bring them just underneath your sacrum, so where your waistband is on your pants, and you would let that do the hold for you, essentially. You put it there, you're in your back bend, and you're able to just relax down into it and breathe, and you can be there for much longer. If you want to come into a regular bridge, we can start to do that now. So on your next breath in, start to lift the hips all the way up. You want to focus on your knees coming in together instead of splaying out to the sides. Roll the shoulders underneath you. Big back bend. You can clasp the hands together and push through the elbows. So there's no tension at all in the neck or the head. You're still able to breathe and talk normally. Take one more breath and then start to bring the hips back down slowly to the mat. From here, we're going to keep our right foot on the mat. Extend the left foot all the way up to the ceiling. We're going to flex that foot and then cross it over the right knee. So we're coming into a figure four. So this is the way your legs look, and then you just want to pick up the legs, send the left arm through that space and grab onto the right shin with both hands, and then you're pulling as much or as little as feels good for you, pulling that right leg towards you. You can focus here still on rolling the shoulders back underneath the body. And that can be all the movement is, and that can be enough of a pull to bring your legs closer. You start to release, untangle the legs, bring the feet back to the mat. Position the feet again so that you can touch your heels with your fingertips. Then we'll come back up into a bridge. Whenever you're ready, lift the hips. If you're doing your restorative bridge or your supported bridge, place something under your sacrum. If not, interlace the fingers underneath you and push through the elbows. One more breath. And then release. Bring the hips back down. Leave the left foot on the mat, extend the right foot all the way up into the air, flex the right foot and cross it over the left knee. Coming into figure four on the other side. So just pick up the legs, grab onto that left shin, loop the shoulders around the back so they're pressing down into the mat, and that'll help to pull the legs a little closer in. Let's take one more breath. And then you can start to untangle the legs. This time we'll hug the knees into the chest. And just rock back and forth on the spine a few times. From here, we're going to extend everything out long. We're going to start moving into Shavasana, our final resting pose. So if there's anything else that you feel like your body wants to do before you head there, you can definitely do that now. Otherwise, we're going to extend the legs out long. You can bring your arms up overhead, give yourself one more stretch, point the fingers and the toes, and then bring the arms down by your sides. Relax down into it, focus on your breath and your body. Focus on where you feel like you've done work in your body, what maybe has been released, if there's anywhere that's still holding any tension. Just notice what's happening. And you can stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like. But if you're ready to move on with the rest of your day or night, you can start to bring movement into your fingers and your toes. Bring the knees up closer towards you, roll over to your favorite side, and push yourself up to a comfortable seat. We'll take 2 more breaths here together. Equal inhales and exhales. Thanks for practicing with me today. Hope to see you here again soon. Namaste.